Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery performance on the recently released brand new Nexus 5X by LG and Google. As we all know, this year we had two Nexuses, the Nexus 6P and the Nexus 5X. Now the 6P has a massive huge battery, and for most people it's a pretty easy decision to know already that the 6P will most likely have no problem with a huge battery inside. But for the Nexus 5X, which is taken over from the Nexus 5 a couple of years ago, which Google released, and it has a comparatively smaller battery as compared to the 6P, but still this year big enough. The battery size is a 2700 milliampere battery, guys, and this phone has a 5.2 inch 1080p full HD screen, and it'll be very interesting to see how this phone performs in the battery department. Now those of you who follow me, guys, you know already my style. I'll be showing you lots of screen on times, standby times, and charging times. And those of you who don't follow me, guys, I would advise you to please stay tuned and watch the video very carefully if you are interested in the battery life of Nexus 5X, as this video will be explaining every single thing about the battery in lots of details. So first of all, let's have a look at the very first screenshot that I took, guys. This was when I got the software update straight away. As soon as I got the phone, within the first 24 hours a system update turned up, which was a 42.2 meg, and it had improved stability, increased security, and some bugs being fixed. Even though I did not face any major issues when I got the phone out of the box, but it was still nice of Google to release an update straight away. I did not install the update straight away, guys. I wanted to run the phone for the first 24 hours without any update to test the battery, and also doze, which I was very interested in. Now doze is the new mode which Google obviously announced in their Android presentation about a couple of months ago, and they specifically mentioned that doze will reduce the battery drainage in standby mode and give you a lot better timings than what they had in the past. So that's why the very first thing I checked was doze mode. So after using the phone for a while, as you can see, guys, in the video, at 71%, I left the phone around just after midnight, just before 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I left it for a few hours. As you can see, guys, here 71%, and I was using the phone earlier for taking a few photos and stuff. And then when I got up in the morning around 8:45, as you can see, guys, here it had only lost 2%. So as you can see in the previous screenshot, it had 71% here, guys, and after leaving it on for a few hours around 9 o'clock, 8:45, it only had lost 2%, which was okay, not too bad, but I did expect a bit better because I believe the Sony stamina mode is even better than this. Even the LG G4 that I've got, they are doing a better job on standby as well with this. So it'll be interesting to see how those phones react when Marshmallow hits them in the next few months from now. Anyways, we lost 2% after about 6 to 6.5 hours. So let's go further down. Sorry, not 6, it was about 8 hours, I would say. So in 8 hours it lost about 2%, which is okay, not too bad. At least it's stable, if not severe. Alright, so I kept using the phone down to 69%, guys, again. And here in fact, what I done was, when I got up this, I left the phone again, and then I let it go all the way at around midday, and as you can see here, 11 past 12 in the afternoon, and the phone had only lost 1 more percent. So over the whole course of the night and early hours of the afternoon, it only lost 3% in a full, around approximately a full cycle of 12 hours, which is not too bad, very good. So and then in the first few hours it did lose 2%, but in the later hours it only lost 1%. So at least it was controlling, and it wasn't as bad as you would see on normal regular Android Nexus phones. Okay, then I kept using it further down, guys, around 50%, I think, yeah. And then I got a screen on time of 1 hour and 58 minutes. Now if you look at this graph very carefully, guys, I will actually zoom my camera in to show you what I mean. If you see this line carefully, guys, this straight line, this is where doze was actually working. So the drain, as you can see, the inclined thing is very it's not as inclined as you would see, but the line is dropping down really slowly. This is where doze was working very effectively. So a good implementation by Google in Marshmallow 6 finally, and doing a better job than in the past. Okay, and then I got, like I said, guys, 1 hour and 58 minutes of screen on time after using the phone up to around 50%. Okay, further down, I've stretched the phone all the way to 5%, as you can see, guys, in the top left corner here. And after using it for a full 12-hour cycle, in fact, the next day, because half the time was obviously taken by doze, I was able to get 4 hours and 23 minutes of screen on time, which was a decent run. And just to remind you guys, by this time, I had not installed any system update. The one which I showed you earlier in the video wasn't installed at the time. So after the first couple of tests, then I installed the update, because I really wanted to see how doze and everything else on the battery life on the battery side would work without any system update. Anyways, once again I gave it a full charge, and I was on Wi-Fi pretty much all day. And by the way, all these screenshots initially were taken on Wi-Fi, so there was hardly any 4G used, just occasionally here and there, but mostly I was on Wi-Fi. Again, another run from 100% down to 48%, and I was able to get 2 hours and 2 minutes of screen on time. And then going further down, guys, here I think, okay, yes, here again, as you can see, like I said to you guys, in around 48% I had 2 hours and 2 minutes of screen on time. And at the time was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was really pushing it, early hours of the morning. I was really keen to find out how the phone is like. So around 4:05, guys, I left it as it is at 48%, because I really wanted to see, once I get up in the morning with the battery at 48%, how would doze stop the battery drain. Well, it went up all the way up to 14:24, guys. That was about 2:30 in the afternoon. So we're talking about from 4 up until 2:30, so I would say about 10 hours, 10.5 hours, and only had lost again at 3%. As you can see, guys, up here is 45%, and here it was at 48%. So in about, like I said, 10.5 hours, I lost about 3%, which is pretty much the same what we had seen in the previous screenshot, which is, I would say, well above average, but still not among the very best. And again, I stretched the phone all the way to 3%, and as you can see, guys, in the graph here, again, the same line. This is the line where doze kicks in. And please do remember, guys, if you keep your ambient screen option open and your notification light open, then doze wouldn't work as effectively. For doze to work effectively, you have to make sure your ambient display is off, and also your notification light is off, because if you're sleeping and if your Wi-Fi is on and you're getting notifications constantly, then this light will come on and so will the screen, and doze will not kick in. So make sure that you keep your phone light and your Wi-Fi and screen off. Only then doze will kick in. Okay, and then after finishing the whole lot, I was able to get 4 hours of screen on time, and this was around 3%, which was not too bad. Okay, but the battery was slowly beginning to improve as time went along. Again, yet another run. As you guys can see up there on the top right corner, I had my Bluetooth on. I was streaming music on SoundCloud, using the Wi-Fi at the same time, out and about at work, and every now and then here and there. And I was able to, in fact, in this particular screenshot, I remember, as you can see, guys, full 3 lines. Wi-Fi was on, screen was awake, and also the screen was on non-stop, because that was like early hours in the morning, and I did not leave the phone even for a single second. It was like non-stop using it. I really wanted to see how the phone would perform, and I stretched it to 50%, and I got a total screen on time of 2 hours and 47 minutes, which was very good. And I was extremely happy, because I haven't seen such kind of battery attitude from any of the previous Nexus devices in the past. Even the Nexus 6 before wasn't as good as the Nexus 5X, I could say, even though that phone has got a huge massive battery. But people always were complaining about the battery life of all that I read, and a few of my mates had the Nexus 6 as well, and they were never ever satisfied the way a Nexus 5X's battery has been performing so far. Okay, like I said, guys, non-stop, almost 3 hours, and I was able to get 2 hours and 47 minutes of screen on time. And going further down again, 42% here, same situation. And let's have a look here what I done here then. I think here I was 41. Yeah, okay. This was again, I was testing doze again. I've been testing doze actually every now and then, because I was really excited to see how doze would work. So here, as you guys can see again, 42%. I left at about 5:42 in the morning, guys, and that was just before 6 o'clock. And then I slept, and the battery was around 42%. And as you can see, guys, here I just had lost 1% whilst I was taking the screenshot. And when I got up at 12:54, it had only lost 1. In fact, it didn't lose nothing at all. So that was very surprising. So keeping in mind 5:42, and then also at here, I think I might have said it wrong. Sorry, apologies. I think 42%. Yeah, 5:42. I took a screenshot here, and then at 12:54 in the afternoon, 41%. So after leaving it on for I would say around 6 to 7 hours. It only had lost 1%, so this was much better. And by then, guys, I had installed the system update already, so it made me believe that the small system OTA update probably helped in stabilizing the system, and that's why doze did improve by quite a margin. Okay, so again, push the phone all the way to the limit, 5%, guys, again. And as you can see the graph here, I was using it pretty much all day, all night, and the next day in the afternoon around 4 o'clock, the battery went down to 5%, and I was able to get 5 hours and 3 minutes of screen on time. This is the highest screen on time, guys, I've had so far on the Nexus 5X, which is extremely satisfying. The Nexus 5, even the Nexus 4, both made by LG, and never ever made it to 5 hours, not even 4.5 hours, let alone 5 hours. So people ended up installing custom ROMs and custom kernels to get the best out of those phones, but on vanilla Android, those phones were always struggling on battery life. But I'm now happy to report that if you're using your phone on Wi-Fi, you would be pretty satisfied, and you're guaranteed to get between 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time. And if you use it a bit more moderately, you can even go past 5 hours mark as well. Again, from full charge down to 49%, guys, and here I was able to get yet again 2 hours and 25 minutes of screen on time, which is again very good. So that means around approximately 50%, I'm getting around 2.5 hours of screen on time, but this is with Wi-Fi only. In the upcoming more screenshots, you will see this time will reduce, because if you use 4G or you're going to be using a lot of camera or video, your battery screen on time will probably go down. But if you're using your phone at Wi-Fi, mostly say at office, at work, or at home, the likely chances are you're going to get some real good decent screen on times from the Nexus 5X. Okay, good. Further down again, guys, 5%, and I was using it pretty much all day long. Around 3 in the afternoon, I finished with 4 hours and 50 minutes of screen on time, which again is extremely satisfying. And I wasn't even expecting this getting even close to 5 hours. I thought I'll probably be getting around 4 hours, something like that. But I'm happy to report that on Wi-Fi, the phone has got good, decent stamina, and you are looking at around 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time with no problems whatsoever. Alright, guys, this screenshot was taken because I was also interested in the rapid charging technology that Google have used and LG have used in this phone. Now, the charger that comes along, it does not support Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0 or 3.0. In fact, Google is calling it rapid charging, which is their own way of charging the phone quickly. So I was really keen to find out how long would it take for the phone to charge from almost 0 to all the way to 100%. So at about 5%, guys, I put the phone on charge using the Google's the standard LG charger which came in the box. I started using that instead, and at 5% I put it on charge, and then I took another screenshot, guys, at around 99%, and the time was 15:39. If you look carefully, guys, here the time is 14:07 in the afternoon, and then at 5%, and when I plugged this is when I plugged it in, and at 15:39 it was up to 99%. So about an hour and a half it took for it to go from 5% to 99%. That means it can pretty much charge your phone in less than 1 hour and about 45 minutes, maybe around 1 hour 40 minutes, something like that, which is fairly quick for a phone which has still a decent 2700 milliampere size of battery. So the charging speeds are decent. As long as you use the standard LG charger, you won't have no problems. Going further down again, guys, now this was a screenshot I specifically took to show you guys something really weird happened. I had the phone normal charge as just normal to 100%, and I started using WhatsApp heavily on Wi-Fi, and I was WhatsApping for an hour or two, and then all of a sudden I noticed that when the battery went down to 71%, as you can see in the screenshot here, guys, if you go further down, you will see that I only got a screen on time of 48 minutes. So there was some severe battery drain from there. As you can see in the graph, it really went down, and something went wrong. I don't know what it was. It was a bug or whatever that was. But from 100% down to 78%, it only gave 71%. Sorry, it only gave me 48 minutes of screen on time. I was very surprised. I was a bit shocked as well, and I thought, oh, it seems to me as if my battery is going to last me only for a couple of days, and after that, it's going to start playing havoc like in a typical Nexus fashion. But thank God, guys, since then so far it hasn't happened again, and I'm glad that it hasn't happened again, because that really got me worried. Anyways, further down again, 48%, and this was a bit of mixed use. As you can see, guys, I had the 4G on, the Wi-Fi on as well occasionally here every now and then. So around 48% I was able to get 1 hour and 48 minutes of screen on time. And then further down to 5%, guys, and I was able to get, after using it pretty much all day, as you can see, guys, the awake on and the screen on time pretty much all day using it on Wi-Fi, a bit of 3G and 4G as well. I was able to get 3 hours and 23 minutes of screen on time. Now you must be thinking why this screen on time is so low as compared to what I've shown you before. The reason, guys, let me zoom this in and show you. If you can see this bit here carefully, it says camera on here in this screenshot and the GPS on. Now I had recorded some full HD videos, so 4K video, and also a 1080p video, about 3 videos here, guys. And also I used my phone for sat nav and for Google Maps as well, and that's why you see a different time screen on time as compared to the one I've shown you before. So the conclusion is, if you're going to be using camera heavily, your GPS heavily, the likely chances are that the battery is going to go down really quick. And I've noticed this on quite a few occasions. If you're going to be using your camera a lot, your GPS a lot, it loses battery really quick. And that's why in the end I was only able to get at 3 hours and 23 minutes of screen on time. That also included a bit of 4G. As you can see the gaps here, guys, I was also using 4G, GPS, camera, video recording, along with normal web surfing and browsing. So altogether it was able to give me still a decent 3 hours and 23 minutes of screen on time, considering that I was using a camera and GPS quite heavily. Okay, again, guys, down to 46%, bit of mixed usage again here, Wi-Fi, 4G, and a bit of camera as well, GPS as well, and I was able to get 1 hour and 46 minutes. That was around at 46%. Now, as you can see, guys, as soon as I started turning the 4G on, LTE services on, the battery started going down. When I was using the camera and the GPS, the battery again started depleting more quickly than before. So keep that in mind, please. So 4% again, guys, and I was able to get a total screen on time of 3 hours and 44 minutes here. It was slightly better than the one from before it, because as you guys can see, I didn't use the camera and the GPS as aggressively as I was using before in the previous screenshot. So that's why I was able to get slightly better battery life than the previous screenshot, around 3 hours and 44 minutes. So 4G, GPS, and camera definitely affects the performance of the battery. Again, guys, 50% Wi-Fi I think I was using, and so was 4G. So around 50% I was able to yet again get the similar kind of screen on time, which is 1 hour and 49 minutes. Now, whilst doing so in the first week, I think it was probably early second week or something like that, I also took a screenshot of the memory management. Now, as you guys know, this phone has got 2 gigs of RAM, so your free RAM would be around the 300 mark, so it won't be as much, even though it hasn't affected the performance of the phone so far. And I had to restart the phone only once at the end of first week because I was slowing down a bit, but since then it's been 2 weeks now, I haven't restarted the phone just yet again, and it's been performing really well. So please keep that in mind as well. Okay, again, a 49%. Now here I start using 4G aggressively. As you guys can see here, Wi-Fi is still on, and the reason for that is because let me just show you this very quickly, why the Wi-Fi line is still on even though I'm using 4G. Because, guys, if you go in your settings and you go on your Wi-Fi, from here you go into your advanced here, and as you can see the option here, keep Wi-Fi on during sleep. The reason I leave it on is because when I'm sleeping, or if I want my Wi-Fi to stay on, I want it to stay on. If I was to put in only plugged in or never, it'll probably switch off when I put the screen off, and I don't want that to happen. That's why the screenshot is actually showing you as if I was using Wi-Fi bias, but I wasn't. As you can see on the top right corner here, I was using 4G most of the times. But you will see the decrease in screen on time anyway in just a moment. That will probably vouch for my what I'm just saying, that I was using 4G and not Wi-Fi. I kept on using it, guys, again same way, and I was able to get 1 hour and 42 minutes of screen on time. Again on 4G, like I said, the battery will deplete rather quicker. At 5%, I was able to get, after using it pretty much all day, less camera, less GPS, more 4G, less Wi-Fi, I was able to get 3 hours and 10 minutes. Now this was really low though, and I think if you use 4G very aggressively, then you're looking at around 3 to 3.5 hours of screen on time. Also, areas like, for instance, brightness and things will also depend how you use them. If your location services are on, there's so many factors, guys, which we can obviously put into play. But on 4G with screen brightness around 50% and location and GPS on, you're most likely going to get between 3 to 3.5 hours of screen on time on 4G, not Wi-Fi. Then during last week, guys, I also got this security update. As you guys must be aware, Android, as Google has promised, they'll be giving us a monthly security update. So the first security update has hit the phone already. It's only 6.8 meg, so I installed it straight away without any issues. Again guys, Wi-Fi, 4G, 50%, bit of mixed usage. I was able to get 2 hours and 3 minutes at 50%, as you can see here, and then eventually ending up with at 5%, I was able to get 3 hours and 49 minutes again. Not too bad. Again, I tested those here guys, 100% on 11th of November at at 1:15 in the morning, and it had at 12:14, after almost a 12-hour cycle, it had only lost 3%, which is decent performance by doze. Not too bad. So doze implementation is at least keeping things steady. Again, 4G guys, 4%, and I was able to get a screen on time of 4 hours and 18 minutes. Here guys, I was using a bit of 4G and also Wi-Fi, so I also wanted to test out if I was to use Wi-Fi and 4G both, how the battery would perform. So if you're going to be using a bit of mix of 4G, say out and about, at work, at home, for Wi-Fi, you are most likely going to get between 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time. And that's it guys for now. This was a quick battery review of the Nexus 5X guys. On 4G, you're going to get between 3 to 3.5 hours of 3 to 3.5 hours of screen on time if you're going to be using 4G only. But if you're going to be using Wi-Fi, then most likely you will get around 4.5 to 5 hours, and doze is working fine. In about 12 hours it loses about 3%, which is very good. If your results are matching this, that means your phone is absolutely fine and battery life is not an issue. So guys, like always, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. Any questions about the battery life, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. And like always guys, subscribe to my channel please, as it helps, and I will see you in the next video.